Thanks for visiting Total Lending University. I'm Steve Currington, and today we're going to go over how to present the one sheet. So you should have one of these, whether it be in a printed 8.5 by 11 or the printed form like this. And when you're meeting with a real estate agent, you should have two of them. You notice I have two because you have one to give to the agent and one to reference when you're going through the one sheet. Now, we've lined it out here so that it goes in order of how you should present the one sheet. First of all, being that we have a 21-day closing guarantee. Okay, this is really designed to get to the closing faster so that real estate agents get their commission faster. That's part of the whole point of it is for us to get our commission faster because we all get paid when loans close, and for a real estate agent to get paid their commission faster. So we have a 21-day closing guarantee. Number two is we pre-underwrite every file, issuing what we call a to-be-determined loan approval. Now, the reason why this is important, that is one of the ways that we're able to get to that 21-day closing guarantee. Now, if you don't know already, what this TBD underwrite, as we call it, does is it allows you to get all of the nit and gritty of the loan approval process out of the way up front so that when you do find a house, all I need is title, appraisal, and a purchase contract to get you to closing. Now, the other really good thing about this is when we do get your TBD approval done, we'll issue the client a certified approval letter that basically says that other than title, appraisal, and purchase contract, that the loan is approved. So this will help you when negotiating a contract because the seller, the listing agent, everyone will get this letter that says it's not just an online pre-approval. This is actually someone who's been through underwriting. Income, assets, credit have all been looked at. And again, this is another way that we get to that 21-day closing guarantee because we're getting a lot of the process out of the way up front. About 90% of the time, people will give us all of their stuff. Sometimes we have clients that won't give us their stuff until they get in contract on a house. And if that's the case, then 10% of the time we won't get a TBD underwrite done. Okay. Third, we don't have banker's hours. So we're available to our clients when they need us and our referral partners when they need us. So that means if it's on the weekend, if it's after hours, whenever it is. In fact, in Tulsa, our office phones roll to my cell after 4 rings during business hours and immediately after 5:30 or on the weekend. So we want to make sure that our clients, referral partners know that you can access us when you need us, okay? So we don't have banker's hours. We've added it up, and I think we're at over 100 years of combined experience, and that's just if you take our executive team. Basically, from me up, between Brian, our president and CEO, and all of our underwriting team and everybody, we've got about 100 years of experience. So if you're in a market that's new where people don't recognize the company, rest assured, we know how to get loans closed. Next, our two main core values that we focus on is our attention to detail, number one, and then communication. So attention to detail talks about that pre-underwrite. We're taking care of those details up front. That way, if there are any issues with income, if there's issues with credit, if there's any issues surrounding the file, we'll handle that up front, and we're paying attention to those details on the front end. And then our communication, we have an entire system set up to communicate with the client and with the real estate agent throughout the process. So we have benchmarks when things like the appraisal get ordered, when the file submitted to underwriting, we get the loan approval, you get clear to close, or we have videos that go out that explain to the client, to the listing agent, to the buyer's agent, what's happening and what the next step in the process is. So you'll notice on our one sheet, our communication qual, as we call it, says number one in communication. That's a goal that we're constantly striving for with our clients, is just to be number one in communication. We want to have the best communication of any lender out there. If we parade 100 realtors through here and I ask them what's the biggest complaint you have about a loan originator or a mortgage company, every single one of them will say communication, because they don't answer the phone when I call or they're not available when we need them. And so we're really working hard to be number one in communication. That doesn't replace us, all these benchmarks that we have where we send out information. It's just a way for us to push that information out to the real estate agent and to the client so that they're not having that 11 o'clock at night, things are winding down, what's going on with my loan or what's going on with this file. So we're just trying to push that information out, okay? Next, our you'll see the starburst that's right here. It says CD issued before CTC. Okay, that's a big piece of what we do, and another way that we get to that 21-day closing guarantee. Most companies won't issue the closing disclosure until you get a clear to close. So you have to have your clear to close, and then you can say, oh, I want to go ahead and issue the closing disclosure, which, as you know, we have to issue 3 days before closing. So if that's issued on a Tuesday, then you would be able to close on a Friday. If it was issued on a Monday, you'd be able to close on a Thursday. They count the day that it is is issued. We have set in our guidelines certain parameters that if a file meets those parameters, that they automatically give the okay to issue the CD. And many times that's before we get a clear to close. So this allows us to do is to go ahead and get the clock started for that CD to be issued and for that 3 days to start so that we can get to closing faster. And so that is a big difference that TLC does that a lot of mortgage companies aren't doing, and another way, again, that we get to that 21-day closing guarantee. Next, our products. So we have it's cutting edge products down to a 580 credit score. So we have FHA, VA, the Native American loan. We have the USDA loan, all down to a 580, and then conventional goes down to a 620 score. So the point is, if it can get done, we can do it. Most lenders, so you know, this is a hook when they say someone can get approved at a 580, but this is another reason why that TBD underwrite comes into play so well. Because when we do have somebody that's borderline credit, I would say they're below a 600 credit score, then we can go ahead and TBD underwrite that loan, and that way before the agent spends any time spending time in the car, driving around looking at houses, we can get a full-blown loan approval. And that's what we typically do when someone has a sub 600 credit score. But if it's a product out there, we probably have it. We can't be all things to all people, so we don't offer every product known to man. But FHA, VA, 184, USDA down to a 580, and then conventional down to 620. We also manually underwrite loans. So if someone doesn't get an automated approval through the Fannie Mae's desktop underwriter or loan prospector through Freddie Mac, we can still manually underwrite a lot of times and get them approved that way. Next, so we have a 5-year post-closing campaign. So what this means is once the loans close, we have loan anniversaries, we have birthdays, we have holidays like St. Patty's Day, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, where we send both print pieces out in the mail and we send emails to our clients. And when we close with an agent that we like and we want to do business with, we co-brand that, and we'll do that for 5 years. Now, we don't co-brand with everybody because you may not want me next to your face if you're a realtor, and I may not want my face next to yours if you're not a good agent. So the agents that we work with regularly, that we like, that we know do good business, we do co-brand for 5 years. And the reason this is super important if you're a real estate agent, a lot of times a lender will get a call 4 years later, 3 years later from a client that says, I'm ready to sell my house, ready to buy a new house, I'm buying an investment property, something like that's happening. They don't remember who the agent is, because they close a lot of loans and they just don't remember who the realtor was that helped this client. And if the client isn't like adamant about using that specific realtor, then a lot of times those clients get referred to other agents. So this tags the client, whether we co-brand or not, it'll tag the client to that real estate agent so that at any point we can look it up in our system and see who the realtor is that's working with us. So that co-branding is a big thing, because we estimate there's about 8 touches a year where we have an opportunity to ask for a referral. We have an opportunity to reach out to that client and keep our name and face in front of them and stay top of mind that client's eyes. Lastly, we are number one in all our markets, or very close to number one in all our markets on Google. So what this means is we work diligently to get reviews and to build content related to the mortgage business, which allows us to show up high in the search results, and we often get people that do not have realtors attached to them. So the biggest thing that we do that is a lot different than most lenders is we refer clients to agents that we work with. Now, I don't refer clients out to every single agent that has ever referred me business, but for the agents that we know, trust, that do a good job, that we've had experience with, we want to build a relationship where it's a two-way street, where we can be as valuable to you as you are to us. And the way that we do that is through the many resources that we have that get clients to call us directly before they get with an agent, and then we can refer that agent or that client to a real estate agent. So that's the one sheet. And remember, always have 2 copies of this when you're meeting with an agent, and watch this video over and over to the point where you can memorize every single piece of this and present it. If you need more help, just email me, steve@stevecurrington.com.